And now for our headliner here to finish out the morning before break. And it's so critical that we find partnerships. And when I interview Sam Zell, you're going to see the same thing. He's been able to scale to billions through very serious partnerships all over the world. And how to structure those, I think, is one of the most important things that we need to be able to take a look at. And so that's why we brought Bob Glazer in for this. Bob himself, let me see, I found it someplace, is a serial entrepreneur. He has a company called Acceleration Partners and Brand Cycle. And he's won all kinds of awards in his business, from literally Best Place to Work by Fortune magazine to the top 40 under 40 in Boston. And so if you would, let me just get out of the way. Let's give the rest of the morning here to Bob Glazer. Bob, come on up. Give him a huge hand.
Forward. Hey everyone, excited to be here. Hope you've had your coffee as the first session. I'm really excited to talk about what I think is the future of marketing and how it's going to affect all of your businesses either now or shortly in the future. So there's three huge trends going on right now that are really disrupting most traditional businesses. So by 2020, Forrester surveyed a bunch of executives, and they said that digital will touch 47% of all sales. And this is going to become just a fixture in the selling process. The one that I really think everyone needs to pay attention to is the middle one, which is people want to go direct to brands, and brands want to go direct. So 40% of brands these days are selling directly to customers, but when surveyed, 90% of customers said they'd rather work directly with a brand. And that's a pretty telling statistic. If you think about Dollar Shave Club, Warby Parker, Casper, completely disrupting traditional supply chain distribution models, going straight to and engaging with their customers. And then the third one is, and this really comes to my world, is that there's a big shift to performance-based marketing. You hear the term performance marketing, kind of what am I getting? And McKinsey did a survey, and this is driven by 63% of CMOs said they have no idea if their marketing dollars have a short-term impact. So that's a problem, and they're looking to rectify it. So a lot of EO members in the room. I want to tell you a little bit about a scale-up case study. So my friend Mike in EO Boston started this direct-to-consumer natural beef business a few years ago. I talked to him in 2015. He's doing $5,000 or $10,000 a month. Recently, we had sort of a Member of the Year award in EO Boston. Mike won. I said, "Hey, Mike, how's it going? What are you doing?" He's like, "Good. It's really crazy. We're doing about $2.5 million a month 2 years later." So from 25,000 to 30 million in 2 years. And I'm going to tell you a little bit. I mean, this is scaling up. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how they did this, which really is the basis for what we're going to talk to you about today. But we're going to come back to it. So, presumably, we have some smart people in the room, some leaders. I want to ask a quick question, show of hands. If I gave you two choices and said, "Hey, would you rather pay your sales, marketing, and business development people for their inputs of the time they put in, or would you rather pay them for their outcomes?" How many of you would rather pay for inputs? Come on, no brave souls here. Outcomes? Outcomes. That's what I thought. So it's never good to argue with Peter Drucker. He was usually right about most of these things. Love this quote: "Doing the right thing is more important than doing things right." So the majority of you clearly would rather pay for outcomes, but what I'm going to show you is that I don't think most of you are, particularly across partner marketing, business development, and marketing. And you're not alone. I think most companies that we run into, whether it's in their marketing or biz dev, are still paying for inputs and trying to figure out how to get out of that. So I'm a big believer, I'm going to talk about incentives for a minute. I'm a big believer that incentives follow behavior. One of my favorite quotes is Charlie Munger's quote, Warren Buffett's number 2, said, "Show me the incentive and I'll show you the behavior." So what do a couple of these headlines have in common? 10 years ago, we stopped making mortgage brokers responsible for if the loan could be repaid because they could just sell it, and it literally almost brought down the economy just from that one shift in incentive. You had issues where healthcare, where it was very lucrative for doctors and drug companies to prescribe off-label uses. So you have a $3 billion lawsuit because they're doing that. And then the Obama administration made a big deal out of that investment advisors who were not paid a fixed fee and were paid based on the products that they recommended, pretty much chose the highest fee and lowest performing products almost every time. So, this is really also true with your marketing. I think if your marketing agencies and some of the vendors and even your team members were more transparent with you on sort of their incentives and what they're getting versus what the company's getting, you might have fired several of them already. So I want to make this a little interactive. Hopefully you're in tables with your team. Take a couple minutes and sort of ask yourself the question. This is also in the workbook if you want to follow along with it now or to take back to your team. But where in your business are you paying for something that you have no idea what you're getting in return? It's been frustrating you, bugging you. Take just a few minutes, chat about it, and then I'll just, a couple of you are brave enough to shout them out. That would be great. Talk amongst yourselves.
Speaker wishes he took the selfie from the stage after they're in front of this many people. So take the selfie.
I'll do it at the end. That's not me, but thank you. Yeah. All right, do we have anyone who wants to share? Can we bring everyone back? Guys, all very engaged. Clearly a lot of angry people here who would like some money back for stuff they didn't pay for. All right, I need a show of hands of who wants to share something so we can try to bring it back. Thank you. Oftentimes when we do events, we ask CMOs what would they like the bill back for last year that they paid, and we get a lot of these angry answers. So who wants to share something that came up at their table where you're paying for something and you have no idea what you're getting? Right here, David.
Essentially said, oh, come in and figure out a way to grow the revenue.
So if you couldn't hear that, David said we hired these marketers, we told them to come in, we told them to get started. We really actually weren't clear about the outcome, so we really have no idea if they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Is that anyone else? Back to the room, you're gonna have to yell. PR, yeah. I hear that a lot. Any others? Trade shows, website, right? SEO, yeah. You got to invest in that. Don't know if it works. Well, I'll show you how you can get everyone else to do that for you. But we got to get there. So, a couple things in common. I usually see people on one side of the spectrum or the other. So they're scaling the wrong things. So when you're paying for inputs, not outcomes, it actually makes it hard to scale the right things, as Drucker noted. Because you might be turning up the volume dramatically and spending more and more, but not actually getting what you want. And then this goes on for a little bit of while, and then it sort of blows up. I'd argue a lot of you, and you'll see as I talk, to me, marketing and biz dev and partnerships all starts to cross over and amalgamate. But I think a lot of you are also not able to scale the right things. You have the right thing going. You have some marketing partnership that work great. But you're working on spreadsheets, invoices, manual processes. It's too resource intensive to scale. You say, I love this partner, but the way that we work with them is not scalable. You might also have a partner who you worked with that they did really well, but they didn't find out until months later because of all these processes that they were doing well, and they could have changed what they were doing at the time. So I come from this crazy world called affiliate marketing. Raise your hand if you have any concept of what affiliate marketing is. It's larger than average. So I want to explain this a little bit so you get a bit of background, so I can show you why this model is now coming into the rest of the marketing world. So affiliate marketing is not talked about a lot, but it is about 15 to 20% of online marketing. And it is an ecosystem in which you can aggregate lots of partners. So there's some terminology here. I'll try to swap some stuff out. But you have the customer, which is the person looking to buy something. They come to an affiliate website or property. This could be a coupon site. It could be an app. It could be a comparison thing. Let's say they're going to find a mattress and they get to a product review site. None of these people work out of the goodness of their heart. They either get paid for advertising on their site or they get paid on a performance basis. So they read this review, they click through to Casper. There's this entire infrastructure called affiliate networks that sort of operate behind the scene. Think of them as they manage the one-to-many so that it gets tracked. They're like the escrow agent. It goes through to the merchant. The merchant has a little thing on their cart, and they send a ping back as soon as that's actually bought. And they said, hey, that mattress was bought for $450. There's a predetermined thing that the affiliate gets 8%. They send the money back to the network. At the end of the month, the network pays everyone. So the networks really provide this scalable infrastructure in between that lets many-to-many work with each other instead of a lot of one-to-one. And this has been used in marketing for years and is a large part of the online marketing portfolio, and it's very scalable. You don't really care if a partner does $500 a month or $10,000 a month because they're set up on this. They're getting newsletters, they're getting information, you're treating everyone sort of in one system. So if you swap the word affiliate for partner, that's really what it is. You're taking partners of the business and you're loading them onto a platform that actually scales. One of the things everyone forgets is that it does the contracting. In the same way that when I updated my iPhone last night and I agreed that they could sell my kids pictures, for the rest of my life, these people are just accepting an agreement rather than negotiating back and forth with your business development team, and it's much faster. So it's done through link-based tracking and other mechanisms that can tie online to offline. And one of the key things to note is that your partners bear significant risk in this model. So someone said SEO before. They're the ones out there working on the SEO of their product review site, so you don't have to, and they're just getting paid when they deliver what they want to deliver. So what the affiliate model brings to your marketing and partnerships is this. It brings scale, it brings automation, it allows you to do this faster and with more repetition, and it's quickly expanding into other areas of the business. I think the performance model was born years ago. A lot of people associate affiliate marketing with deals and coupons because those were some of the big partners in it. It is really, as I'll show you, it is not about deals and coupons anymore. That's still part of the segment, but it is opening to a wider base. And I want to do one more, interactive, but it's going to be hard to get you guys back. So, it will give you a few minutes. So I'm going to get into a bunch of case studies of this and show you exactly how this works. But before we do that, you can choose one of these two questions. So having seen this model a little bit, like where are some current partnerships that you have that work well but don't scale? Or if I told you I could find a way to bring scale and a platform for you to grow hundreds or thousands of partners, what would you get into or who would you go after that you're not doing now? So let's take another 2 to 3 minutes and chat about that, and then we'll run through some of the examples of how this works. Yeah? Except I'm going to answer for the whole room. All right, is this on? Yeah, thanks. All right, we'll try to bring it back. Anyone have anything that they could share with a group? Sorry I can't give you more time, but I want to make sure we get through a bunch of the examples. Any hands raised? Can you share stuff that your group had? Right here.
So we currently work with a lobbyist.
Yep.
We work with the public sector a lot.
Yeah.
We have hired up a lobbyist and they're not investment.
Okay.
We're not scaling the aspect.
So you have a lobbyist who's trying to out there get new leads, have no idea what it's producing. Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. For window coverings, yeah. Anyone else?
Explain it. We'll share that.
Yeah. So sorry, he said that they are working with the national home builders on window coverings, and you said it's like 70%? 30%. Yeah. Got it. So yeah, so 30% of the people buy the window coverings at the time that they buy the house, but 70% don't, and they really want to work with the home builders to get those other 70% who aren't doing that, and I'm sure would be happy to pay handsomely for that. Any others? So someone came up to me at the break and said, and I know, and I'm going to get into a little bit, that there are a lot of B2B folks in this room, and I know sometimes the analogy is hard to understand here, so I will try to make sure I focus on the B2B, and if you have questions sort of in Q&A afterwards, we can talk about that. But an example sort of related to what you just said is, DocuSign is a B2B business. We've done work with them. They are really trying to target. They're saying, hey, we've got our business development team working on large, enterprise relationships, but where are people signing up for Amex credit cards? Where are they doing small business stuff online and getting started? And where can we go to these people and provide them, a link or assets to DocuSign and get them to sign up? And whether BD team is focused on those, $1 million accounts, the partnership program is how do we go get hundreds of those $10,000 accounts. So B2B is a little harder, but it is if you think about it, sort of again taking up that middle. I'll show you a visual of that. But these are a lot of the reasons that things don't scale. So contracts is a big one. When you go through business development, it takes 3 months. Again, compare that with clicking a button and accepting and get going. You got to be able to track the outcomes and pay on them. You got to deal with 1099s and tax forms. That's why no one would want to work with 1,000 partners that did $10 a month if you had to onboard each one of these. They need data. Is this working? And then a lot of them want custom stuff. Oh, can I get a code? Can I get a this? Can I get a that? And you're managing all of those one-off because you don't have a way to push it out as a channel. So I'm going to do this a little backwards. I'm going to talk about the performance partnership model, but I'm going to show you examples of it before I show you the model, so you can understand what everyone has in common. And the first one is actually a B2B example. So Uber has a large performance partner program. There's users, but this is really focused on drivers and the supply. So this is the B2B side. They're out there looking for people like job sites or trade associations or to have the demographic that they want, where they can refer their members over to become drivers, where they may not have even thought about becoming drivers. They had another problem. They had a job, they needed to fill their time otherwise. So they have a deep technological integration in this point that goes through their actual business workflow. And I think this is how B2B can think about this in the long run. So as someone signs up and works through the workflow, as they get an improved background check, there may automatically be a small payment out to a partner. But it's 2 months later, literally, when the driver takes the first ride and they switch, they swipe end the ride, that the partner is actually paid the high amount for doing that. So the goal here is really to get hundreds, if not tens of thousands of partners of all sizes into this program who are recruiting drivers, and they're able to manage them all in one place and even on a global basis, and completely tie this to their business model, customized about when that customer or that B2B partner hits important part of their business model, and they'd have certain confidences of what they would want to pay them at each part. Here's another example. Again, this was sort of a B to small b. So Tiny Prints, which was sold to Shutterfly, really popular photo holiday card site. They had thousands of photographers coming to them saying, hey, I want to refer my clients to you for their holiday cards. The BD team was like overwhelmed. They're like, we don't want to work with these people. It's too much aggravation, for a couple $1,000s in sales. Except their customers had very high AOVs. If they paid $1,000 for their pictures, they were probably going to order some nice cards. So we were talking to the BD team, and we looked at this, and we said, hey, there's this affiliate program out there. They don't know the term affiliate programs, but what if we just built them a really simple CMS page? We let them sort of write a paragraph about themselves, put a picture up there. Everything else is standardized. And just have them link and refer over their customers and do that. And we put it right on top of the affiliate program. It had all the payments, the contracting, all the stuff that didn't really scale. And 2,000 people signed up for this in the first 2 years, and it turned from a total aggravation for the business development team into a multi-million-dollar channel that had some of the highest margins out of every order. So one of the things, again, business development seems to be a big source of opportunities here. We would go to the biz dev team and sort of ask for their trash and say, what do you got? Who's calling you that you're turning down, that you're saying, hey, $50,000 a year or $10,000 a year is too small? And I understand it is too small if you're going to spend 3 to 6 months working on the contract. So another example, Ronda Rousey, global UFC fighter. Works with Reebok, wants to sell her own stuff. Really doesn't want to get into the retail business of carrying inventory. So Reebok had a partner affiliate program. They got her a product feed through that, which is, hey, here's all the text, images, and everything you need. She built a virtual store. She became the affiliate or the partner, and on her store, it clicked out and routed it to the local through the local affiliate program in that country, because each country had a different card or a different system. And suddenly, she could sell globally as a partner of Reebok, and this sort of became a model for a lot of companies in thinking about how to work with their athletes and how to create virtual stores and partners who they already had, but they just didn't have a way to work with them, and they didn't want to get into a different business model of holding real estate. Inventory, not real estate. So how did ButcherBox do this? How did they get from 25,000 to almost 30 million in 2 years? So they went out and found, I think, no more than the 20 most influential people in their industry that had the users that they wanted. So these were paleo bloggers, nutrition sites, coaches, and they went to them and they said, hey, we want to pay you on outcomes. We want to pay you really handsomely on outcomes. And a lot of them would say, hey, I'm not sure that that'll work. We're used to getting sponsorship dollars. And so they'd say, here's like $2,000. Just try it for 2 months. We'll guarantee you a minimum earning if we bought an ad, but we think you'll do better out of this model. And a lot of them did. And this was the primary driver behind their growth. It was about 60% of their growth, which then affected a lot of the halo effect of the word of mouth marketing. And why they haven't raised money and why they're profitable is because they're paying for their marketing after they get the sale. This is something, there's a lot of talk about cash flow. They're managing your cash flow. Great way to manage your cash flow is to pay for your marketing after you get the sales. It really it lets your marketing dollars go higher, and you can start saying, look, what's the most I would pay? As you enter into these performance-based arrangements, don't get cheap. Don't ask the least you could pay. If you said, look, what is the sale worth to you? And if you don't have to pay it until after you get the result. So I'm going to show this in a different way. I know it's a little bit complicated. I'll show it a few ways, so maybe you can get it. But this is the performance partnership model. It involves thinking globally if you sell across the world and bringing everything under the same umbrella that you're doing in different places. So the brand and your company is at the center of this. You're going to need a tracking platform or a network to do all this, and you can either have a team management or you can get help outside if you don't want to do it. But you get all these partners that are brand aligned across desktop or mobile or who have digital reach to the customer that you want. and you manage and track them in one place on a single location. So it includes a lot of the stuff. If you guys have affiliate marketing programs now, that you might do that. But when someone else brings you a new channel in your company and says we should do this, instead of kind of managing it separately, you'd say, you know what, why don't you just come onto this platform that we have and let's integrate this, do this all in the same place. PR, influencer marketing, some of you might be doing, folks mentioned. Great, we'd love to work with you. Here's a link. Can you track? We'd like to see what's going on. We'll get data, come in the same thing. Biz dev, partner marketing, again, really getting outside of those small deals that require all that customization. And then a lot of companies are really overusing referral programs. To me, referral programs are meant one-to-one. Like you join the gym and you get a month free and their friend gets a month free. If you have someone who's referring in high volume, they probably want to make money. We did work with Honest Company years ago, and this woman came up to us, and the referral program economics were much better than the affiliate program. And she said, I have $10,000 worth of credits for diapers at Honest Company. I'd much rather make money than get any more diapers. So they really were creating the wrong incentive by having a referral program do more than it was designed to do. So this is actually how one of our clients thinks about it, and I think this is instructive in the pyramid. So they say that, hey, we just want our biz dev team to focus on the 15% of partnerships that are so big that they're worth the agreement and customization and all that stuff. And then on the bottom, there's 5% of referrals, and it always equals the 80-20 rule. And then we see this affiliate program or a performance partner program is handling everything else. In the middle, we have these app guys we work with. They actually all need the same thing, so why are we working with them one-to-one? We've got kind of content sites and paid ads and all this stuff. So they are trying to wrap everything in the company and go to everyone and say, are you doing something totally separate on a performance basis? Are you trying to do something? Like, let's get it all in the same system. And there's a huge, and I'll show you like what you can do when you get that in the same system. Again, you have hundreds of thousands of partners that are operating at scale. So there's 4 main requirements for me for a performance partnership, and this is where it differs from some of the historical affiliate marketing. The first is CPA, which is cost per acquisition. I like, for the room not in marketing, I like COD, cash on demand. As I said it before, you're paying once you get what you want. You've defined what you want, whether that's a lead, whether it's a approved lead, whether it's a sale. You define what you want, you pay when you get it. So that really helps, as I said, grow a business without having to lay out the marketing. And you'll hear a lot about performance marketing these days, but for me, the CPA element is the key difference between measuring performance after the fact and paying on performance. They're kind of cousins, but they're not the same thing. I would much rather pay on performance than look and be like, oh, wow, that really didn't work, and I lost my shirt on that. That's measuring performance versus paying on performance. So that's the first element. These next 2 also really differ from some of the earlier affiliate relationships. So 10 years ago, brands were afraid to ask their partners what they were doing. It was kind of a don't ask, don't tell. It was like, hey, we're working on performance. You have no right to know what we're doing. We work with some large brands. That's just not okay in today's day and age. It's full transparency into what they're doing, and they want to be aware of it. And no one is trying to hide anything from anyone. There's an awareness that you're a job site and you have you're a job board. We're not. We're not going to launch a job board. We're trying to work together because you have what we need. Third piece of this is ongoing partnership. So again, the word affiliate creates some distance. A lot of brands are really just calling these folks partners or partner program these days. They're treating them as partners. If it's Ronda Rousey, she is a partner. She is not some affiliate that you push out there. And the future of performance partnership is much more relationship oriented. So you're using all this technology, you're trying to track and pay, but you're not being transactional with your partner. If something goes wrong or they are a really loyal partner, but they missed one of the terms that you pushed out there, you don't go take all their commissions away and say, hey, well, that was the rules. You have a discussion. We've had this a couple clients who have new product launches and they don't want to pay their partners for them because they spend so much money on the product launch. It's better to have an open discussion ahead of time than to come back and say, hey, here were the rules, and you broke the rules. So there's a lot more partnership focused on the long game. Again, relationships, it's been talked about a lot. And then the fourth part is you got to get all this data in one place. So the advantage to me of getting this all in one place is that the tracking and the payment and the contracting, it's all together. When your teams are coming in with totally different reports from each channel and you're trying to make sense of it, it doesn't work. So make sure that your marketing teams and everyone is working off a single set of data. say, look, this is our partner program, and I'll show you some visuals of that. So what does this do to you? How does this exponentially help you grow your business? Well, you can learn from the power of marketplaces. So, and how you can tap into those with performance partnerships. So, what do Uber and Airbnb have in common? They don't have assets. So, Uber doesn't have cars. Airbnb doesn't have houses and hotels. It's allowed them to go out in the world and to grow really fast. In the same vein, you won't need to own all your sales and marketing in this future vision of the world. So, what I call the marketplaces of marketing, and this applies more to digital, and then I'll bring it back more tangibly. Today, when people are spending money in your agencies, they are out there spending money on these third-party networks where there's a lot of opacity, you don't know how your money's being spent, lack of control, all the incentives are to spend more. If you're getting paid on spend, it reckons that you might spend more. There's so many middlemen involved in this, and your ad or what you're trying to do getting to where it needs to go, and it's an auction format. So media is sold in a bid it up and bid it higher. And then the agencies are sort of supporting this outside. In the performance partnership world, you bring this all in-house. You bring the network or the SaaS platform in-house. You say, look, this is our system. These are the rules. This is how we run it. We'd love to have you join. Fully transparent. You can see what's going on. We control it. The incentives are aligned to CPA, not spend. They're aligned to outcomes. Direct relationship with partners. On the left side, you have no idea who's running your ads or who you're working with. On the right side, you have a really good idea of it. And I think of this as the reverse auction format. So if I have $1 million budget and I have a partner coming to me and he says, I can deliver you $1 million at 8%, and one says I can deliver you $1 million at 9%, I'm actually going to go towards the guy who's more efficient and can give me the 8%. So the incentives really, really change in this. And if you think about it, so we had marketing marketplaces sort of 1.0. You needed a logo. Instead of hiring a designer, you paid $500. You went to 99 Designs. You got 50 options, and you picked the best. So this really helped lower the cost of internal marketing and leverage the crowd. Now this is going to the enterprise level. So smart companies are basically using performance partnerships to open source parts of their key marketing to experts. You can scale up your business through an extended marketing team, and this helps you keep ahead. I mean, the last 2 days has been about the speed, right? So you figure out Instagram, or you finally get on it, and there's Snapchat. You figure out Snapchat, and then you got to figure out WeChat, and you're like, look, I give up. I can't even hire these people fast enough. So there's thousands of these experts around the world who you can recruit to market on your company's behalf. You just have to make sure that in that program you have those outcomes clearly defined, and also the brand rules of engagement about what's okay to do and not to do. But you can literally build a virtual marketing team that, if you have the right incentives, is in there working for you. And so what this gives is what I call the third fat pipe. So people and CMOs spend a lot of money with Google and Facebook because they make it really efficient to do so. I've heard a lot of CMOs, they say, hey, it's a fat pipe. Like, I can deploy a lot of money at scale, may not have the return on investment, but I can do it in a scalable way. So what you think about what performance partnerships does is it gives you sort of automation and some of these programmatic elements to partnership and business development of getting all these relationships in one place. So if I have a new product launch, I can go out to thousands of partners at once, tell them about it, give them the links to it, and tell them that it's double commissions today, and I can execute this across hundreds or thousands of partners in 5 minutes. And when you aggregate all these people, they start to look like the size of something like a Facebook or Google in terms of being able to move the needle for your business. So I encourage you to go back home, examine a lot of the incentives in your marketing that you have in place and some of your partnerships, and I think you'll find that the behavior is following the incentives. And I apologize in advance to any marketing firms in the room if I've ruined your entire business model. But I really do believe in that things are going to performance. And we just have, John Wanamaker said 100 years ago or more, 50% of my marketing is working and 50% isn't. That was in a brand marketing world with no data. We're now in a digital marketing world with a lot of data, and I would argue most companies might actually do worse than the 50-50 rule. So we'll try to get things shifted. And Vern trashed on my Patriots yesterday, and one of the best coaches of all time. But he forgot it was actually Bill Belichick who started the phrase "do your job" and had it plastered all over all the lockers at Foxborough Stadium. So there's no one more than Coach Belichick that focuses on the job to get done. You do your job or you're out. So I think if you can get all your partners and your marketing partners focused on outcomes in a scalable way, and you pay them for the job you need to get done, you'll see some really great things happen with your marketing. And most importantly, if they don't do the job they're supposed to do in this model, they won't get paid. And you might actually, Bill Belichick would love to have this. Didn't do your job today, automatic cut of your paycheck, or we don't pay you. So he will actually be jealous of how you're running your business. So thank you. We'll take some questions, and I'll be around after. Again, particularly in the B2B segment, I know this takes some nuancing to understand how to use it. I'm happy to brainstorm with anyone or try to help you understand how you can bring this to your business. So thank you. So the questions in the app, or do you want me to, they're up here. Yeah, so first question. How are we preparing for the inevitable disruption of the affiliate industry caused by artificial intelligence? So it is really arcane right now, the affiliate industry. It's going to happen eventually, but it's really slow. There really is basic stuff not in place for partners to work with each other in an automated way. It's a lot of humans doing a lot of the discussion. So we are actually working on some technologies and with partners, but it is an ecosystem, and it requires everyone in the ecosystem to kind of come on board to that standard to get the trading and the transactions to work. So it's a big problem that we're paying attention to, but it is going to require everyone sort of pushing forward and getting people to agree to standards, which they have not to date. How well does this approach work for B2B services? Most of the examples given were B2C. If your product requires customization for each client, can this work? Yeah, so I think that a lot of B2B firms really want to get in the, think of this as replacing a physical distribution network with a digital distribution network, but you probably want to focus on leads or qualified leads. That's where we see B2B working. So obviously, if the transaction is completed online, you're in a much better position to pay out a percentage of the deal. Most B2B companies do some sort of lead. So, hey, we'll pay X amount if you can send us a lead that looks like this. We'll pay Y amount. If you can start to get smarter about scoring those leads, if you can think about tiring your CRM or your HubSpot or sort of a lead score back, you could actually start going to your partners and saying, look, these are the types of leads that look like a 50 or above to us, and we'll pay $100 for these. These are the type of leads that don't, and we'll pay $5 for these. But B2B tends to, because the transaction is customized and it's offline, what you're trying to get online or digitally is that capture or that lead or that intent for a discussion, and that's probably how you want to organize your program. I mean, Glazer has an affiliate program out there, large-scale tractors and stuff like this. They're just looking to get a discussion set up with someone who wants to buy. But if it's $1 million tractor, you could even say, hey, I'll pay you for a lead. But if that comes through in the next 3 or 4 months, we'll push that back into the channel and bonus you for that. Which tracking platform do you recommend? This is probably a better one-on-one discussion. We are agnostic. We think there's platforms that are really different based on how you want to run your program, whether you have a brand, whether you want to be in multiple countries, whether you want to be in single countries, how much an investment you're making on this, whether you want it to be your brand or their brand. So we work with a lot, and it's really custom to that situation. If you come chat with me after, I'd be happy to listen to your situation and figure out what's best. But that's actually why we sort of exist, because when people go to the sales teams at these various platforms, they all say, yeah, we're perfect for this and this and this, and they're not. So we try to be a little more objective of when one is the right fit or when you need multiple. How do you find a virtual marketing team and explain your needs? So that is hard. But think of it more as changing the nature of the discussion. I've seen companies try to hire a marketing person or someone to do something, and they can't come to an agreement about what it is they should do or the price. So that's somewhere you could say, hey, I know you're consulting for these guys, but would you work for us too? Can we set up a performance-based relationship? Why don't you go buy Facebook ads for me and use tracking links, and I'll pay you on a performance basis? So it's really specific to the company, and the industry. But I would say, like I said before, go out with your best offer. Start the discussions with people around. Here are if you sell $1 million equipment and you're willing to pay a partner 10%, and you start a discussion with, hey, I've got $100,000 per machine that I can put into this. How can we make this work? I think you can get some of these discussions started on how these folks can help you. It's really hard to hire marketing folks these days because of this sort of marketplace model. If you're really good, you can argue that if you're a really good SEO guy, I can go work for your company and do SEO, or I can go build a bunch of SEO sites in spaces where I know there are a lot of economics. So part of the reason why it's hard to hire marketing people these days is because they can go rent their talents out to a lot of companies at once, and when that sort of hits the 50% mark, it's going to be hard to hire. You might actually find yourself needing to, go find the experts rather to work for your business rather than in your business. How do you enforce brand standards and integrity using affiliate group marketplace services? Yeah, so this is a great question. Airbnb actually had a whole announcement this morning that they're opening back up their affiliate program, that they found out that the benefits far outweigh the risks, and they're trying to work with really large partners. And it was particularly around brand standards. This is really about, too many people try to set up a program, they have no experience, they auto-approve, they're not paying any attention to the partners they work with. This is about setting up the right rules and conditions up front. It's about having a one-strike policy, not a three-strike policy, and communicating with and knowing who your affiliates are. So when they join, having a welcome email, having a discussion, watching their early transactions. I can tell you, some of the large brands we work with are fanatical about this, and we're able to solve it by paying attention to it. Most of the problems, most of the affiliate programs we dig in, it is that they have been on autopilot and auto-approve, and no one had any idea what's going on. So you need to have strong terms and conditions. You need to establish the rules up front. One of our clients was on a panel, from Adidas, and said, look, we have an 8-page rules document. We expect you to read it. If you're a distributor for Adidas, you get a 200-page rule document. And he's like, it's one strike. Like, we just don't, this is a privilege to be a partner of Adidas, so you better pay attention and read these rules. So most people don't set that sort of expectation up front, and then so people try to take advantage of it. But you can really control the brand if you manage it up front and pay attention to what's going on. How are you using predictive analytics to optimize your performance marketing campaign? So we are, to that AI discussion earlier, we're actually working with a company, some technology out of Israel that's pretty cool, that actually plugs into the affiliate programs, looks at past performance, particularly in really busy periods, and actually says to us, hey, if you were to up this person's commission or lower it, here's how we would predict that they would change the trajectory of their performance. And then you can actually push and make them an offer to do this. So that is where some of this AI and programmatic elements are coming in. But again, it's really new. So as an example, like, we have the technology to look at this now, determine, we might even know, and they don't know, that if we double their commission from 10 to 20%, we'll see a 140% lift, and we could push them an offer programmatically. But if they can't receive it programmatically, then that's only half the battle. So it does require the ecosystem to come together a little bit.
And so, Bob, I got an idea.
Yeah.
You guys want to come on stage? Come on, Randy. Yeah, I thought your question was right. It's a B2B.
Live case study.
And let's coach him.
Yeah.
What you would do. You've gone back to see Bob in the back, and you've got these home builders that only 30% of them are willing to upsell this window covering. What platform would he use? How would you structure it? Let's talk through the pricing.
Yeah, free consulting. So
let's come on up here.
How are they?
Let's do it.
We start with questions, as Fern said. So how are they currently? How are you currently working with them?
So unfortunately, we go through the purchasing manager.
Yeah. Oh, you need a mic. So they buy a house. They agree to buy a house. Yeah.
Well, we first go through the purchasing manager, so it's all based on price, and we try to convince them that our service is better than our competitors.
A little bit higher.
All right, sorry. We go through the purchasing manager, and it's all based on price. We try to convince them that our service is better. The purchasing manager puts us into the program, and now when you go to buy a new house, the person who's selling you the house or the design consultant says, oh, well, do you want blinds? And how much are the blinds? $1,500.
Yeah.
I'll do it afterwards.
And they're at their wits' end.
You got it. They just went through the whole process.
And,
the house is too expensive. I got to get mortgage approval. So only 30% of the people typically purchase the blinds through the house.
Got it.
And then it's the other 70% that don't purchase blinds that we're not selling to.
Right. So as an example, you could go to these reps or the purchase manager and say, hey, look, I know they're overwhelmed right now. They got to catch up. I've got an idea for you. Why don't you, after 90 days, send them an email or a follow-up, and because they're probably not going to give you some of that information,
Right.
that they have, right? At the time they said, look, we asked them, they don't want it. You say, look, you don't have to turn over the client information to us. After 90 days, I'll give you the content to use. I'll give you an email. You go to all the managers and you say, either I'll set you up as a company or the reps, or I will set you up as individual partners, and you email the people after 90 days or 120 days and say, hey, here's an offer, or have you thought about blinds now that you're sort of recovering? They click the link, any of them end up buying it with you, or if you can't track it online, they end up, you can actually, it's complicated, it's called a postback. You could actually find out if they eventually bought it and push that information back and pay them, but you could start paying them for leads or converted sales when they did that follow-up with you 90 days later.
Now, a lot of times that's frowned upon because they're employees of the builder,
Yeah.
and they're seen as taking a kickback if they
Yeah.
take that kind of money.
Yeah. Well, yes, so you have to feel that
Is that,
out.
is that changing, do you think?
That's not a generalization. I think it depends on if they're independent reps. If they work for the builder, then the builder could turn this into an incentive program and say, look, we keep 80%, you keep 20%. So 9 months, you can only do it once, but 3 or 6 months later, follow up with them, and you could turn it
That's
into
the
a
great
little.
idea. If the builder could figure out how
Yeah.
to make money on that after sale, then
Right.
they'd be interested in.
So
if we could automate all
they
that.
probably split it, but then go to the reps and say, look, we'll give you the half of it or the bulk of it, so it's your job to drive it. We're not going to drive it, but we have it all set up as a sort of co-op.
And do you have the name of the technology company that can do that for us?
There are a couple choices. I don't want to upset any of our partners by mentioning certain ones on stage, so I'm happy to give you that afterwards. But there are a bunch of different platforms. You probably want to use a SaaS platform, which is more like this would be the Builders Blinds Partner Program,
Yes.
and that's all people see. They wouldn't see like a network name or stuff
Right.
under it.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Bob, what about, if my mic can be on, Bob, if the home buyers now are also going to maybe start buying blinds.
Yeah.
So should they be looking at what would be some affiliate partners
Yeah.
that are likely to capture this person's interest? Because I mean, they're going to go in sometime on the internet and say, all right, I need blinds.
Right.
I'm in the home now a day, a week, a month. I need blinds. And that's what these affiliate partners
Yeah, so,
could be doing, right?
There's a company, a performance marketing company that bought Imagitas, which does all of the moving cards. So you fill out the moving cards, and then it's like field day on cable and satellite. So actually, that's how they work. So you could go to them and say, hey, you're going to promote our offer, and we'll pay 10% of every blind or 5% of every lead or something like that. So they have a great business basically taking that move data. You could also think
Now,
about
Bob,
yeah.
slow down.
Slow
You
down.
talk so fast, and you throw all these words out that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Go back. There's this company that
So
collects cards.
Imagitas is the company that sends you the cards, the move, change of address cards.
Okay.
Yeah, for the
And
post
then-
office.
And so that person's moved.
They're moving, yeah.
Now, how would they use them very specifically?
So they would probably go to them and they would say, hey, look, we want $10,000 to email 100 of these people. And you say, hey, instead of $10,000, how about if I paid you, what's the average order size?
$1,500.
$1,500. How about if I paid you, $200 or $150 for each converted lead that you send me? And I have an unlimited budget to do that as long as you're sending me converted leads.
Paid for the show.
Okay,
Great
good.
idea.
That's the way I think B2B has got to think about it.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I got to tell you the quick story. So George Nadeau, who went on to do Boston Chicken and all these others, he got to start selling this kind of baby carriage, and he knew he needed to get to the customer before his competition. So he would start by kind of going down alleyways and looking for diapers. And he'd count over, and then he would knock on the door and say, we see you must have a new baby. I see diapers. Would you like our baby carriage? But he wasn't getting there quick enough. So then he went to the courthouse, because they have to kind of do paperwork. But then all of his competition was going to the courthouse. So then he said, all right, who knows? And he knew first-time pregnant women We're going to be his very best customer. And he goes, who knows that a woman's first time pregnant? Who's that going to be?
OB.
The doctor. Now, do you think doctors are going to give up that information? No way. But he goes to the office and he sees that in the waiting room there's this baby magazine. And he says, what if I could put a bingo card in that baby magazine that gave a free stork pack? It's kind of like the moving card. And if you fill this out, and then there was one box, is this your first baby? And he got all these packs for free because he went to Procter & Gamble and all of these folks and got all the free stuff and sent it out. And he got to know who was a first-time mother ahead of all of it. Now, in order to lock that in, he bought the magazine.
Yeah.
Now, that is 40 years ago. Now this is all digital. And that's the point, which is every one of us in this room has got to understand what is the thought path. I mean, 87% of everything bought, B2B, B2C, B2I, B2G, people go to the internet to search. Even if I'm business to business, I want to see who to bid against you. All right, I just want to keep you honest. And you've got to be in that flight path. And there's these people that are watching that and know how to monetize it. And that's what you want to take. That's what's going on here.
Just taking this one step further, so you could actually play the other side too. So shades probably come before rugs because people are sitting there with their open windows and eventually do it. But you say, hey, after you sell them the window coverings, you follow up with an email, and you could sign up tomorrow and be a partner of Wayfair and say, hey, here's some rugs that you'd like to buy, or here's a 10% deal on rugs that you get from them, and you could actually start making money. And then go take that money and pay people to give you leads.
That's good stuff.
That's what I like. All right, give him a hand.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Good?
Yeah.
Bob, thank you so
Thank you.
much. You got him. Give him a hand again.